Aw, YouTube, don't you dare be sour. Clap for the host of the final 3 count and feel the power.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Yes, welcome to this WWE Fastlane review. Only about 4 days late, you know. What can I say? I only started the channel like yesterday, so yeah. My first video was gonna be the Fastlane review. Not an ideal first video. Just going on the quality of the show overall, but you know, it's the first video. Don't really know exactly what I'm doing yet, so please forgive me if I make some mistakes and don't sound the most confident, because yeah, I'm just gonna have to get used to this thing. But anyways, welcome to this WWE Fastlane review. One of, I hope, many reviews on my channel, along with news videos, Q&As, anything regarding wrestling, the world of wrestling and WWE. First of all, we're going to get into some news that happened over the past couple of days. I just thought was quite interesting. New Japan Pro Wrestling star Shinsuke Nakamura has signed with WWE, and like he has signed with NXT, as WWE have said, but you know, they've officially signed with WWE. Looks like he'll be debuting on NXT, which will be amazing. WWE released a video onto their YouTube channel of him basically meeting Triple H, it looked like, and Vince, and that montage of like you know, like wrestlers chatting about like how good he is and like praising him, singing his praises, and you know, it just shows how well known and how respected and how much appreciated he is, like not just in Japan but around the world, in the US and you know, across Europe. I'm guessing across Europe he's greatly appreciated. Yeah. The King of Strong Style is his nickname, so if you don't know anything about him, that gives you a good idea. He's very strong, but also very charismatic and, you know, flamboyant character. You know, that's really what a good mix of them two is really what caused his like very like gain and like popularity over the last, I don't know how many years it was, but I've only really been following Shinsuke Nakamura's work for about a year now, since I've really got, you know, into the very deep, like, you know, anything other than WWE. Yeah, you should just watch WWE, but I've expanded my horizons over the last year or so. Started watching Lucha Underground. That's very good alternative, you know, when WWE is like at the current moment. You know, you can just go watch some of that. It's refreshing, although never quite competition for WWE. It's good. It's a good alternative once in a while, you know. Used to watch Ring of Honor, but I haven't really been able to catch that enough recently, because where I live in Ireland and it's not on like cable television here. I would have to watch it online, and I just really never get round to it. You know, TNA is just a lost cause by now. I watched that in like 2007, through about 2011, through like the Hogan and, you know, that kind of period in TNA's history, which ultimately I think caused the end of their hopes to ever challenge WWE. You know, the name of the brand is just tarnished now. But yeah, sticking with New Japan Pro Wrestling, employees move into WWE. Doc Gallows, who was formerly Festus and a part of CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. I can't quite remember his name from WWE. Give me a minute. Hold on a second. Was known, yeah, he was known as Luke Gallows and CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. So he has been with WWE before. He's gone and made a name for himself kind of in Japan, along with Carl Anderson. they've been tag teaming quite a lot in Japan. I've heard. I don't watch the show very regularly. I only watch certain wrestlers perform, like mainly Shinsuke Nakamura, but I've heard Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson are doing amazing things over there, and they're expected to follow Shinsuke Nakamura soon. Now, I have quite an interesting idea for their debut. I'd love to see it happen. Bearing in mind, this is if they were able to debut in maybe next week's Raw, or the week after that Raw. This is if they don't go straight to NXT, which maybe I have a slight feeling they will. Yep, they probably will, because they're not kind of like veterans like AJ Styles was when he debuted straight to the main roster. Although WWE don't like to refer to him as a veteran, calling him a rookie a couple of times, which is Maggle call for you. That was a very bad JBL impression. I'm so sorry. But yeah, back on topic. If they debuted on Raw, I would love to have New Day, right? Picture this: New Day in the ring. Have they been going on about like how they're the best tag team? They've beat the Usos, Lucha Dragons, like basically anything that's coming their way. Well, they're out in the ring saying that kind of stuff, and then music hits. I'm not sure if WWE would have their music from Japan, but if not, music hits. Nobody really knows who it is, and out they come, and challenge New Day to a match at WrestleMania. That's just an ideal idea. Which WWE, I'm not quite confident. Yeah, I'm not quite confident that they'll deliver on that, as they so very rarely do. So yeah, that's all for the news, and moving on now to what you're all here for, the Fastlane review. So, starting off in the pre-show, which I don't usually like to watch. I didn't watch it for this one, and I never usually watch apart from WrestleMania. I watched Survivor Series, didn't catch Royal Rumble, but the pre-shows just doesn't interest me. I like to just switch on the network as soon as the show starts, really. So, in the pre-show, it was Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the US title. Why this is on the pre-show, it baffles me why this is on the pre-show. WWE, they should be trying to elevate the US title, make it like kind of prestigious, like at least John Cena was trying to do whenever he was champion. But having it on the pre-show, I mean, come on. I know Kalisto and Del Rio, they might not be as an important feud as some of the ones that were on the main show, but it's the US title. At least have it on the main show somehow. Well, even WWE want to push Alberto Del Rio in the League of Nations, and having him on the pre-show, that's doing no favors for that. So into the actual action in the match. The first fall, Del Rio, he was going after the arm. I think it was the arm of Kalisto. He was going after Kalisto, certain body part anyway, and he brought him outside the ring. They were outside the ring. Del Rio proceeded to get disqualified by using a steel chair on Kalisto's arm for the first fall. Yep. Quite a kind of awkward tactic from Del Rio, if it even was a tactic. I'm sure it was. Sacrifice a fall, one of the 2 out of 3 falls to, essentially weaken his opponent, by using the steel chair. So yeah, that would be 1-0 Kalisto, giving Kalisto the lead. The second fall was won by Alberto Del Rio after he double stomped, that stomp he does from the corner. He done that to Kalisto from the second rope, and pinned him to make it 1-1. Into the third fall, it was Kalisto. He attempts the Salida del Sol, his finishing move. Del Rio reverses, but goes bouncing like off the ropes, kind of, and Kalisto then rolls him up to win. And Kalisto rolls him up, making it 2-1, and wins the match altogether. Retains his US title. I don't know how to feel about Kalisto as US champion. I quite enjoy it, but I feel like he should be back with the tag team as soon as possible. Sin Cara's injured, I think. Whenever he comes back, get him straight back in with that tag team. Maybe have him drop the US title to someone who can at least get on the main show with the belt. Because Kalisto was on the pre-show. I mean, it needs to, and I'm going back to the point, it needs to be on the main show, like a title. What essentially is their second/third highest ranking title in the company, secondary title, is being on the pre-show. It's not good for the US title and how people view it in the company. I don't think. So on to the main show. Interesting opening actually, but interesting in a good way, because it opens with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks taking on Naomi and Tamina in a Divas tag team match. The reason it's interesting in a good way is because it's not very often you get Divas opening a show, and it's quite refreshing. The whole Divas revolution, and having them involved a lot more is definitely very good to see. Cause by the fact that they have so much talent, some of the Divas there, like Becky Lynch. He's an absolute crowd hero, Becky Lynch is. And also Sasha Banks. Well, yeah, very more Sasha Banks. Absolutely adored by the fans. You could see by the way she was getting cheered the whole match. Getting the hot tag then. The Divas Revolution, it hasn't been, booked as it could have been. Well, booked, but it's a whole kind of movement, but a booking is was going to be a big part of it. But it hasn't been amazingly booked, with just one example, Charlotte getting attacked by Sasha Banks after a win at the Royal Rumble, and nothing happening of that storyline. Nothing even happened. Brie Bella came straight into the title picture, which we will get on to later in the show. But for now, back with this tag team action opening up the show. The match was good. I enjoyed the match. I think it was a decent opening match for a pay-per-view. It was entertaining. More due to Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, my personal favourites. Sasha and Becky did win the match. It was kind of predictable because the two most over divas on the main roster, arguably, they're not going to lose to essentially Sasha Banks' backups in Team Bad, Naomi and Tamina. Even though Naomi, I feel she's very underrated as a worker. She had a solid match, there's nothing really to fault with this match. On any of the divas, never mind just Naomi, which I used to have my doubts about her, but she's proven she can do it in the ring. She's gotten better after the Funkadactyls. She's not just a dancer, she is a good wrestler, and she definitely showed that in this match. So yep, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch won. Going on to the next match now. This was Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler for the IC title, Intercontinental Championship on the line, 6 days after Kevin Owens won the title on Raw. So, is anyone really seeing him dropping the title to Ziggler? So, but nevertheless, getting into this match, again, it was very entertaining. I feel it was one of the best matches Dolph and Owens have had, so far in their, I don't know how many matches they've had. They've fought a lot over the last month or two. The match was very good technically, when the action was back and forth until Kevin Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb to win the match, Um, as I said, I really enjoyed the match. It had the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," and showing that they definitely enjoyed the match. And I've read many people saying that it was the match of the night. So obviously a very good match. Even though we've seen Dolph and Kevin fight a number of times over the last weeks, it was a very entertaining match nonetheless. If this is the end of the feud, you have to wonder what's next for Kevin Owens and who he'll go on to face at WrestleMania, because I'm sure he'll be involved. I'd like to see the likes of maybe Sami Zayn, someone like AJ Styles, someone who matches him, very, very good technical wrestler, and, a crowd favourite babyface to go against Owens as an amazing heel. Or at WrestleMania, like WWE, I can see them doing a multi-man match, like, a ladder match. Because just like they did last year, to get a lot more superstars involved on the card. Having about 6 men out there, that's really does good. Getting some people their big payday on WrestleMania, and everyone wants to have their WrestleMania moment, whether it be a show stealing moment or just a solid mid card moment. I'm hopeful that the feud is over, because and they both move on to separate things, because they have been facing each other a lot, and I believe that match is a solid end to the feud, and Owens needs a new contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Although I don't want to see him lose it, I want to see him keep it until good bit after WrestleMania anyway, have a solid, good, long title run that he needs. Moving on to the next match on the show. This was Ryback and the two jobbing soon-to-be retirees, Kane and the Big Show. I'm sorry if you guys are fans of Kane and the Big Show. I am fans of Kane and the Big Show, but I mean, there is an argument to say the Big Show is, doing a job, but really, beating the Big Show these days isn't much credibility whatsoever. Well, yeah, you could say it is, because if he's a giant, you could work it up, saying he's beating a giant, but it's just not the same as it was a couple of years ago, or could have been a couple of years ago. So Ryback, Kane, and the Big Show against the Wyatt family, which was represented by Braun Strowman, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan, with Bray sitting at ringside. And if I were to predict what was going to happen in this match, I would say it was a no-brainer. The Wyatts were going to win. That they need a win. They need, if WWE wants to elevate them as and wants to have them seen as top heels in the main event, well, kind of banner in the main event scene, the Wyatt family have to go over, but no, WWE, what are you guys doing having Ryback, Kane, and Big Show win this match? Ryback, I'm not sure this one does him any favours, because he's part of a 3-man team that aren't usually a team. It's not going to really be a memorable victory. Well, maybe for the next couple of weeks, but nothing that will stand out in people's memory and make anyone view Ryback any differently. Kane and Big Show, certainly they're just doing favours for people now, even though they've beaten the Wyatts this match, doing them no favours, unless they've set up a further feud. I don't know. But WWE, the Wyatts needed a win here. The Wyatts needed to be elevated. They needed, their destruction of Brock Lesnar in the Rumble. That was a good speed up to the process of them eventually getting to main event level heels. I know they can be with the right booking, but here this is just a step in the wrong direction. I believe a step backwards, and having Ryback, Kane, and Big Show defeat them is really not the way I would have went at all, and not the way I think WWE should have went. And yeah, Kane and Big Show were a few short years away from retirement, and this win was almost next to pointless. The Wyatts need to be built as strong main event heels, but they're getting beat by two old guys and a Goldberg wannabe. That's my rant over. If you can call it a rant, it's more of just a angry review. But anyways, that's that match over. Yeah, next match. The sooner we get on to that, the better. So the next match was a second Divas match on the show, which is obviously good to see. Charlotte against Brie Bella for the Divas title. So, this was a good match. Just there was nothing really to take away except Brie sporting Daniel Bryan's knee pads from WrestleMania. I know it's a tribute to your husband, but they were not very fashionable, as I imagine Brie likes to keep herself. Well, it's not even anything to do with that. It's just they don't really look nice, do they? But let her have her tribute to her husband. It's all fair, and I appreciate it. But coming into this match, Brie, moving on, the match was fairly decent, throughout, but it all really kicked off at the end of the match. Brie locked in a yes lock on Charlotte, and at this point I thought Charlotte was going to tap and have, that feel-good moment with Daniel Bryan coming out and, celebrating with Brie. It would have been good. His retirement, his wife. No, they're not married. His fiance, actually, they got engaged last week. His fiance winning the Divas title, but no. Ric Flair came in with a distraction. What a surprise! The dirtiest player in the game, trying to secure a win for his daughter, but Ric Flair distracted Brie, but she was then able to lock in a one-legged Boston Crab, which, two submissions in a row. Charlotte looked like she was struggling. It really looked like she was going to tap out to this. But, Charlotte reversed it, turned it into a figure 8 leg lock, and Brie eventually tapped out. It was a very entertaining finish, with the switch and submissions twice. It was really, crowd definitely enjoyed it. It was good, going back and forth. I really disagreed with the reasons some people were presenting going into the event for Brie to win the match for that feel-good moment. I really don't think that she merits a title win on her own, never mind, making it worse, just meriting it, off the fact that her husband, no, not her husband, her fiance retired just a couple of weeks ago. That would have been really the wrong way to go. Although, take nothing away from Brie, she was good in this match. She definitely has some talent. A lot of people used to say that she couldn't wrestle, but she was very good. Not very good. She was good. It was a solid performance from her, and a even better performance from Charlotte, who always is consistently good. It was a good end to a decent match, and hopefully Charlotte feuds now with Sasha Banks, continues that from the Royal Rumble. Nothing really happened there. That was quite disappointing, but maybe continue this feud with Sasha Banks going into WrestleMania. Maybe have Charlotte drop the title, but if she wasn't, I would be okay as well with that. Give both divas a big WrestleMania moment, and let them show the entire WWE universe what they can produce together. So the next match on the card is AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. They've been building up a decent little feud over the last couple of weeks on Raw and SmackDown. What? It's Raw and SmackDown, sorry. Why did I say it's quite enjoyable. Their matches, I really think the matches, both very good technical wrestlers and very agile, athletic competitors, which always makes for a good match. Two of the same, you could argue with Jericho's own matches against Malenko and very entertaining, always some good high flying spots and very good technical wrestling to go along with that. So it's always very good matches. big fan of Jericho. Always have been. So, yep, Jericho, the finish of this match had Jericho kicking out of the Styles Clash. Then AJ made him tap to the calf crusher. After Jericho done an amazing job selling the pain, he was in of the move. And when he tapped out, it was really hesitant, He really looked like and sold it as if he was trying to hold on for as long as he could, but then eventually tapped. He really looked in agony, and that's very good. Does very good for AJ Styles' credibility, having Jericho selling that move so well. It'll be interesting to see what happens next if they end the feud, and what AJ will be doing going into WrestleMania. I don't expect Jericho to do anything big in WrestleMania. Well, maybe he could, but I'd see him maybe involved in the Intercontinental multi-man match if they have one. Maybe get him one more record-breaking Intercontinental title run. Whatever they want. But, it'll be interesting to see who AJ feuds with going into WrestleMania. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment. Give some feedback. Whatever you think. That's all for that match. And going on, not to the next match, but to a segment. The Edge and Christian, I think it was called the Cutting Edge Peep Show. Just a mix of their two talk shows in the past. And so it starts off with Edge's music hitting, and the crowd, as you can imagine, absolutely love it. They go absolutely nuts for Edge, who is still a crowd favourite. I think it's 5 years after his retirement. So the Hall of Famer comes out, and you can tell Edge still loves it as he runs over and back the stage, greeting the fans, absolutely ecstatic to be back. And I really enjoy seeing Edge back. And Christian, don't forget about Christian. I enjoy seeing the pair of them back in a WWE event. The two get into a really entertaining conversation down in the ring. As always with Edge and Christian, they're just really funny. They can make even quite like normal conversation very entertaining and very comedic. After a really good segment in the ring, the New Day interrupt them with their music, and as they love to do, the New Day, and they come down to the ring and join them quite earlier than they were supposed to, So the point of interrupting, well done me. God, they come down to the ring, and basically the insults go back and forth. Basically, Edge and Christian claiming, that New Day are basically copying them, with the trumpet, quite like to Edge and Christian's kazoo, and instead of hats and sunglasses, they have their unicorn horns, and basically the New Day are outraged and say they're better than Edge and Christian ever were. And at this point, Edge and Christian, the rumours of Enzo and Cass appearing here, I really hoped deep down that they were true, but yeah, with Enzo and Cass being spotted at Raw and SmackDown, SmackDown, but spotted at Raw the last couple of weeks, I really hoped that they were there. But it turned out being the League of Nations. They came out and all four of them, is it four of them? Yeah, they made Edge and Christian leave the ring. Edge and Christian quite strangely left the ring, but they showed fans why in a second when they advanced up the ramp, and they announced that they were going to have a 5-second pose for League of Nations, since they wanted to steal the spotlight, and proceeded to calling the League of Nations the International House of Dumbasses, which I found hilarious, and to be quite true. So that constantly through that segment promotion of Edge and Christian's new network show, I don't even remember the name, because something like Edge and Christian's show that totally reeks of awesomeness. Basically just promoting that the whole way, with Christian even starting to chant like "Watch our show" or something like that. To the New Day rocks, they say, yeah. And just constant promotion. I really, I don't know what to think of their new show. I've watched it, but a couple of funny moments, but it's not something that I would go out of my way to tune into every week. So what happens next? I'm still quite confused to this very moment why the social outcast appeared in this point in the show. The match that straight before the main event. Why are the social outcasts here? Why? They should be on SmackDown at the very most. Probably not even on TV. But they come out and they start talking the usual crap that I don't even care about and I don't even remember. And then R-Truth music hits, and at this point, I'm thinking to myself, wait, is R-Truth and Curtis Axel actually going to be the match directly before the main event? What kind of match is this setting up the main event? Why is this even a thing? But surely something must have happened backstage where they needed to fill time. It's why else would that happen? Even with that, they could have had Del Rio and Kalisto filling up some time and have this match on the pre-show. Anyways, this match, I don't even want to cover this match too much, but I'll give you a brief review of what happened. Yeah, the match lasted a couple of minutes and ended up with Goldust coming down. And this weird thing he's got going on with R-Truth and trying to help him, by trying to get a tag team started with him. But he ends up losing him the match. So Axel wins. Who cares? That was pointless. Moving on to the main event, the spectacle of the night. A rare nowadays triple threat match. Not often we see them in the current WWE that we know today. So the match starts off with, I think Ambrose came out first, and obviously cheered by the fans, followed by Roman Reigns, who, do I even need to say, got booed by the fans? I don't know what to do. WWE should do with Roman Reigns at this point, other than maybe turn him heel. But I'll get onto that after we review this main event. And then Lesnar came out to a huge ovation, as expected, by the fans. And then the Ambrose and Reigns were announced by Lillian Garcia. And then she kind of steps aside and lets Paul Heyman amazingly announce his client, Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I'm working on my impressions, Did I really just do that? Yeah, he introduces his client, Brock Lesnar, only as Paul Heyman can. Very well announced by Paul Heyman, and gets the crowd hyped up for Brock Lesnar. So the match begins, and a couple of minutes into the match, Lesnar gets to be outside the ring. I don't really remember how it happened, but Lesnar's outside the ring. Ambrose and Reigns proceed to powerbomb him through two announce tables. Kind of powerbomb him like the Shield used to do. We miss you, Seth Rollins. Please come back. But no, back to business. They powerbomb him through two announce tables, and then proceed to bury him in a pile of broken down table pieces. It was quite funny the way he was just buried underneath all the pieces of table. Well, the match continued with Reigns throwing a punch at Ambrose straight after, and the crowd started booing, as expected. And then Reigns and Ambrose continued the action back inside the ring. ended up Reigns having Ambrose for a Samoan drop, facing towards the stage, kind of. So therefore facing away from where Brock Lesnar was lying and the side of the ring, which Brock Lesnar would then enter, and then German suplex both men. German suplex Roman Reigns while Dean Ambrose was still in the position for a Samoan drop. That was an amazing spot, and very well thought out by the I'm sure it was them that thought out the spot. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. Then Roman gets up and then hits Brock with the spear. Somehow, I don't even know. Lesnar then applies the Kimura lock, Reigns, and then Reigns. This was another very good spot. He picks Lesnar up from the ground. You know, Lesnar weighing what, almost 300 pounds. You know, Roman lifting a 300-pound man. It's like a brilliant show of just how strong Roman is. Yeah, it's showing incredible strength, as I said. Ambrose then taking advantage of the no disqualification stipulation that was applied to the match, and returned to the ring with a chair, hitting Lesnar a couple of times to break the hold, and then hit Reigns 3 times with the chair. However, Ambrose then sent Lesnar out of the ring and turned around, and Reigns was on his feet ready for the spear. Reigns just gets straight up from a German suplex from Brock and 3 chair shots, like, you know, super Roman, Super Cena and Super Roman we could have. And then so Reigns turns into a spear and then gets pinned for the final 3 count. What an amazing plug that was. Get it? Final 3 count. So altogether, Fastlane, it wasn't really a 5-star pay-per-view. It wasn't like an amazing pay-per-view, but yeah, it was decent. Not really what you want leading up to WrestleMania. You know, it's kind of like the road to WrestleMania, you know, with the Royal Rumble, and then it kind of stops. Fastlane, you know. And no, even saying that though, it kind of set up a couple of matches for WrestleMania, obviously setting up Roman Reigns and Triple H, which is sure to be an interesting match from the fans, you know. Roman being the face and obviously going to be receiving the majority of boos, you know. You know, that victory there really done nothing to improve the fans' liking of Roman Reigns as a babyface. And if you have a look at the schedule for Raw over the coming weeks, you know, he's got Chicago and Philly back to back weeks. You know, that's going to be absolute hell for Reigns. You know, the fans are going to absolutely boo him out of the arena. So yeah, that match was set up for WrestleMania, and set up the next night on Raw, kind of stemming from that match, was Dean Ambrose and Lesnar. Sure to be a brilliant match at WrestleMania, I am hoping. And also on Monday Night Raw, we had a huge match set up for WrestleMania. Shane McMahon returned to interrupt Vince while he was giving out the Vincent J. McMahon Memorial Award, Legend of Excellence, I think award it was called, to his daughter Stephanie McMahon, which was kind of a letdown for fans. But you know, I like me myself, I kind of had a slight feeling that was kind of gonna happen, you know, because he kind of only admiring like one of his children, and then I figured Shane was gonna. Oh, I dropped the name. I figured he was gonna come back. If you don't know who came back, it was Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon, his music hit, and oh my god, I went nuts. I marked out. It was really refreshing after having a kind of a dull like pay-per-view in terms of storyline advancement. To have Shane McMahon return to the company is hopefully going to be a big boost to WWE. He into the ring to talk about how Stephanie, despite she had been running WWE, she had been running it into the ground. As a quote from Shane. And the only reason Shane said that she was allowed to do that was because he let her, and he let it happen. He then says, Stephanie then tells him to get out of her ring, as she always does. Get out of my ring. Then Shane says, one, it's your father's ring. And then he kind of turns to Vince and says, you haven't told her, have you? And he eventually tells Stephanie that him and Vince had cut a deal a couple of years ago, and it allowed him to pursue his business ventures and leave the company for a while. But he may have been away, but he says that he hasn't lost his place in line, which got a huge pop from the crowd. It was a kind of a defining line of that segment. So then Shane McMahon, Stephanie left the ring, I think, and Shane then had a one-on-one chat with Vince. Vince actually came out with the F word. He says something about giving Shane a fucking beating or something. A fucking beating. And Vince swearing in front in an arena, almost, I'd say, at least a quarter filled with young children. And what kind of an example is that setting Vince? Titus O'Neil suspended for 90 days originally. For only grabbing your hand, and you're out there cussing in front of children. Whoa, Vince, you really need to kind of set standards, double standards for yourself and staff, your employees. It's not really kind of fair. I know you're the boss and everything, but come on, man, set some example. He's obviously not going to suspend himself, but he should be setting an example. Well, Shane McMahon told Vince he wanted to control Monday Night Raw. Think of that, how good that'll be. Well, how good that has the potential to be, if they book it right. So Vince agrees, and well, he doesn't straight up agree. Vince agrees as long as Shane wrestles and he wins one match of Vince's choice, wherever he wants, and against whoever Vince wants. Whoever Vince wants him to face. So Shane agreed to this kind of hesitantly, and then Vince McMahon says that his match will be at WrestleMania against The Undertaker. If that's not enough to just blow your mind, it's in a Hell in a Cell. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen here. Is Undertaker healed? Are we meant to boo Undertaker? I don't think I can bring myself to not liking the Undertaker. Will Shane be healed, or will they both kind of be fighting for their own cause? Undertaker staying loyal to Vince McMahon as he has over the years, and fighting to keep control for Vince of essentially WWE. Well, it's Monday Night Raw, but it almost is just the whole of WWE. Shane can almost dictate what happens in WWE if he takes control of Raw, because that is the main show. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting WrestleMania. Not the WrestleMania we all hope for. Seth Rollins, John Cena probably going to be injured for it. Seth Rollins is definitely going to be injured for it, but John Cena, there have been rumours of him coming back, but I honestly don't think so. They would have they would have set up some kind of feud by now. So that made they were the couple of matches that have been made for WrestleMania so far. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching the video. That has been my review of Fastlane. I might do some reviews of Monday Night Raw. I just couldn't this week because Fastlane review of kind of my first video was kind of a lot of work. So I'll set up the channel, setting up Twitter and all. Speaking of Twitter, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's the Twitter @ for this account is @final3count. Yep, @final3count. Go and give us a follow on there. You'll receive a tweet out whenever I've uploaded a video. And yeah, I've just been might do some Raw reviews over the coming weeks, and I'll definitely have a WrestleMania predictions and WrestleMania review, along with maybe a Q&A or so if you guys are interested in that. Sorry about them coughs. But yeah, that is going to finish up the video, guys. Remember, leave it a like, show some support for the first video on my channel. I hope it goes well, and I hope you guys enjoy. To those of you that are still here, at least we've gone on about 45 minutes now. Yeah, that'll be it. So remember to like, greatly appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.